Good afternoon, guys. I wanted to take some time today to walk you through the creation of a Google Forms syllabus. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this, and you can include a lot of different types of content, but I'm going to show you mine and walk you through some of the choices that I made for that form of syllabus. So, the first thing I want to show you is the original syllabus itself. So this was built in Word. It's very, very long for a number of reasons, but it's built in Word. It's got a couple of features worth noting. There's some fonts that I've downloaded here that are not standard fonts. And I've also embedded here a Bitmoji Classroom. This is designed entirely in, I've designed it in both slides and in PowerPoint. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. There are so many tutorials online for how to do this, but I do want to note something that I was really intentional about with this set is that with this particular Bitmoji Classroom, I worked really hard to include a lot of different artwork or pillows, things that I already had in my real classroom, so it looks as realistic as possible. Now, that's not everyone's approach, but that's how I designed that. I thought it was a fun way to introduce visually this year what the classroom looks like, given that we are online. I've included here in my syllabus a number of features. Obviously, depending on what you're teaching, where you're teaching it, your syllabus will look different. But I included a course outline. I included meet the teacher content, so office hours, email, things like that. What materials they need, how grades are broken down, the course text that we're using, historical thinking skills and themes that the students will be using over the course of the year, remind codes, class rules, course organization. I did not put dates on this the way I normally do because things are looking a little different this year and we will be doing this on a 4x4 instead of a 4x8. So until that gets sorted, I'm just going with how many days are approximately going to be in each unit. We are an MYP program. We're an IB school, so a statement about MYP, late work policy, academic integrity policy, the importance of maintaining their balance as they are AP students. That can be really, really difficult for some students. Obviously, in the classroom, I use flexible seating, so there's just a statement about that. Not as relevant when we're virtual, but I wanted to leave it in there. And then I think the most important part of this is the mental health piece, because a lot of our students deal with anxiety, sometimes depression and other mental health issues, so I wanted to provide some resources for them and just affirm to students that their mental health should be a priority to them, and it's certainly a priority to me. I've also included a note here about religions that we'll be studying, AP exam registration, how we'll be using Google Classroom, and my expectations for how they use Zoom. Now, all of that said, I'm going to turn this into a PDF, and in fact, I already did. So you can go to File, and you can go to Save As, and it should give you an option here for how you want to save it. So I did export it as a PDF because I wanted to have a version of this that no one could edit or make changes to. Obviously, I'm going to keep a Word version so colleagues can make changes if they want to, but anyhow, that's where you'd go. So File, Save As, and then save it as a PDF. Once I've done that, go into your Google Drive. I just clicked and dragged it into my Google Drive, and so you can see it right here. 2020 to 2021 syllabus was saved here as a PDF. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to this in just a few minutes, but just note that that PDF is in my drive, and I'm going to be working with it in just a few minutes. So how do we make a Google form? So first things first, go up to your waffle. Actually, very first things first, make sure you're not in your personal account. So go over to your school account and then go up to the waffle. These will move around, so they're not always in the same place. Just look for the purple and click on Forms. In Google Forms, I'm going to start with blank. Now, it's worth noting that you can do blank quiz, blank, whatever. You can turn something that's just a normal form into a quiz. You can turn a quiz into a normal form. But since what I'm doing is going to be a normal form, not a quiz, I'll just start here. And this is what you'll see. As you set up your form, you've got lots of options. You can change some design, you can customize theme a little bit, and you'll see when I pull up mine that I did customize my theme a little bit. You can choose a header image if you'd like to, make it look, snazzy. You can do all kinds of stuff to this. You can also add as many questions as you want, and so this is where you'll be building things out. A few other notes about building things out. With settings, if you did accidentally build a quiz, you can insert it as a quiz. You can turn that off or on. So just a note on that, off or on. And you can also set it to collect email addresses, which I did do for my, my syllabus. You can restrict users if you'd like to. You can limit the number of responses, allow them to edit, and see a summary chart and text responses. So you can do all kinds of stuff in the settings, totally up to you. So I built my syllabus out using Google Form here. So I put a little statement, I gave it a title, put a statement here. I said, please read the attached syllabus and quote unquote sign digitally a few of the portions below. Please also ensure that you provide full and detailed contact information so that I can reach all parents and students effectively. Now, I've noted a link here. It doesn't look like a live link right now, but it is a live link. So let me show you first how I got it, and then let me show you how I confirm that it works. I got this link by going back to my Google Drive, by right-clicking on the syllabus, and then get shareable link. Now, you'll note that depending on your organization, there will be some settings here. Within APS, you can decide if you want it to be restricted just to you, to anyone inside Atlanta Public Schools, or to anyone with the link. And because a lot of my parents are going to be accessing this from outside APS, I said anyone with the link was a setting, then copied the link. Link is copied, done. That is the link that I then pasted right here. Now, it doesn't look like it's a live link, so if you're worried, go to Preview. If you click on Preview, you see what this looks like to a viewer. And when the viewer clicks on this link, you can see that it opens up the PDF as I designed. So, moving away from these tabs here, the first thing that's popped up here is email address, because I said I wanted it to, in my settings, collect email addresses. I didn't want to send a response receipt to the parents, although you totally can. I didn't want to restrict it because obviously people will be accessing it from lots of different accounts. I didn't want to limit them to one response just in case they needed to make a change, but I also didn't want them to edit. So I said, you know what, if they want to resubmit, they totally can. So those are my settings. It's going to collect an email address. I've asked for the student's full name, the student's email address, the parent's name or names, and then parent email address number 1, and number 2 is an optional. Now, just a quick word in case you've not worked with forms a whole lot. Each of these sections is a question. When you initially start, you get one question to start with. So you can see that the default is multiple choice. The minute I put student name, it automatically says short answer. It can guess what you want out of it and says short answer. Perfect, I'll leave it alone. Just confirm that it has changed to whatever you want, and note that you have plenty of options here. You can have it be a date, you can have it be a linear scale, you can give them the option of uploading a file. We can come back to that a little bit later. Drop downs, check boxes, multiple choice, paragraphs. You have a lot of ways that people can engage with you through forms. But it will often, by default, using kind of keywords, figure out what you want it to be. So maybe explain. Explain. That's going to take a lot more, right? So it's going to automatically sense that and move to paragraph. Now, once I have put in my first question, I can say I want this to be a required question. And when I do that, it puts a little red star by it, which you can see over here, this little red star. I have required that you answer this in order for it to submit. If you don't answer it, you can't submit. Back over to this, this kind of blank form here. If I want to add another question, I simply go up to the plus sign, add a question. All right, so for every single one, add a question. I did that here. I added a whole bunch of questions. Most of them are short answer, right? Because all I need is a name. So full name, email address, parent names, parent email address number 1, and obviously lots of our students are in single parent homes and they will not have a second email address, but you've got other parents who say, no, I definitely, or even if it's a single parent home, but the other parent with whom the child doesn't live full time, they still want updates about their kid, right? So you've got some options here. I didn't want to make that second email address a required one, so I just made it optional. Phone number. And I also want to note here that when I say email address, and let me actually show you right here what happens. All right, so this enables email collection setting, and actually, I've already done that over here. So if you look at parent email address, there we go. So because I had already enabled email address collection at the top, excuse me, right here, it's going to verify that it is an actual email address. So if they put in a whole bunch of like phone number, right, without an @ symbol, without anything that makes it a real email address, then it's going to give them an error message of some kind. I can customize what that error message is or just leave it blank. Excuse me. Okay, what about this section? I've said here, please sign below to indicate that you accept this late policy, and I've made it required, right? So I've left a space here. How did I get this right here? There's 2 steps to this. You can, if you would like to, simply copy and paste this from your syllabus into the box. However, when I copied and pasted it into the box, I didn't personally like how it looked. Now, it's entirely personal preference. I just didn't like how it looked. I liked how it looked when I designed it in my original syllabus. So, you need to figure out what your screenshot shortcut is on your computer. I'm on a Mac, so the screenshot shortcut for me is Shift Command 4. Actually, there's Shift Command 3 too, but that does the whole screen. So let's say all I want to do is, I want to do this whole section right here, right? I want this to be a picture. If I say Shift Command 4 on a Mac, this little thing crops up and I can click and drag whatever I want to be screenshotted. And hello, click down, and there it is waiting for me as a JPEG, I want to say is the default, right? So it's right there, all that I need. And you can crop it, change it, do whatever you want to it. But now this is ready for importing. So I'm going to click away and leave this here on my desktop. I did that for these 2 parts of my syllabus. I did it for the late work policy, and I did an adjusted version for my academic honesty policy because this was on 2 different pages, so I had to make a few edits, but this is a screenshot as well. So how do I embed that? Let's go back to my practice form. In order to embed this image, I selected this little icon right here, and then it asked me where I wanted to get my image from. I can easily do a Google image search, get something from my Google Drive, get something from my photos, from my camera if I wanted to just take a picture of myself, or just upload. And that's the easiest one. So you can drag a file here, or you can browse. Browse takes you automatically to your desktop. It's sitting right here, and there's that screenshot waiting for me. I can open it, and look, it embeds nicely for me into the question, right? If I want to see how this looks, how does it look in real time? There it is, right? So that's how you can embed an image file into your syllabus. And you'll note that I put all of the information collection at the top. And my hope is that parents obviously click on this link. They should read through the syllabus, but the things that I definitely will run into issues with later will mostly be about late work and academic integrity. So it's important to me that these are specifically read by parents and specifically accepted by parents and students. And then finally at the bottom here, students, by typing my name below, I'm electronically signing my syllabus. And then same thing, I'm electronically signing my child's syllabus. And then they just submit. It's done. Now, how will I roll this out to parents? There are two different methods. I can create a bit.ly, and there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can actually have the bit.ly add-on right up here on the toolbar, and it crops up here, and you can sign in, or you can just go to bit.ly. And if you have an account, which I do, you can create a bit.ly and get it out to parents like that. Or you can create a QR code, and there's a lot of different websites for creating QR codes, and you can provide the QR code to parents, and that will take them straight to your form. The way you'll get the link to put into the bit.ly or into the QR code is up to you, but I tend to just go to preview. I copy this link up at the top. Let's say I want to create a bit.ly. I'll paste the long URL code here. And I can add a title. I can customize the back half as well. So let's say I want it to be 2020. We'll do 21, like that. Syllabus trip. Now that's a little long as a back half, but we'll go with that for now. I can change it later if I want to. And save. Now the link has been edited. I can send this out to parents. And actually, let's copy this. I paste that in. And here you can see it's HTTPS and then bit.ly 20-21 syllabus strip. Enter, and it'll take me right here. So you can provide a bit.ly code to parents, you can provide a QR code to parents, but that'll take them right here and they can fill it out. So that's how I got that link. Again, lots of different ways that you can approach this. And the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of the syllabus and why I want to do it like this is let's go to responses. Now obviously I don't have any responses yet, but once I get responses from parents, I'm going to create a spreadsheet. Create a new one, and it'll only ask you to create a new one the first time you do it. And here it is, right? So it's going to timestamp and organize by timestamp parent responses and student responses. It's going to collect all those email addresses, student names, and then I can arrange the data that I receive on this spreadsheet by alphabetizing it, things like that. So it's going to default by timestamp, and it's going to populate over time automatically as students and parents respond. But if I later on decide, oh, I want to organize this by their full name, then I can choose to do that by sorting sheet A to Z or Z to A. So I can always sort by column, and then it will completely rearrange every row. All the information on that row will move with the name. So don't worry about doing that. But as you arrange alphabetically, sorting the sheet A to Z, it will take all of the information about that particular student and move the information. The first thing I'm probably going to do though is create a parent email list, and the way I'll do that is by selecting the first name on the list, pressing Shift, and then going all the way down to the bottom, wherever that winds up being, and clicking again. It's going to select all of the names in that column for me. Now, I may also try and include this column. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that. But anyway, you'll go ahead and copy, right? Copy, not cut. And then you can paste that into a Word document if you want to. You can paste it into Outlook, in like the BCC section. but you're going to have a ready-made parent email list that you can grab information from. If you wanted to also add a question here about like which block the student is in, then you could sort by block if you wanted to as well. But because student schedules aren't totally set yet, I have not included that question. I probably will include this question though, so that it will collect that data for me and so that I can get the option of arranging data by class in case I need to do that. But typically I reach all parents at once, and so since I tend to reach all parents at once, having the option to just select all and paste into an email is perfect for my needs. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out about Google Forms is this other attendance sheet that I've already created. Now, Google Forms, I've shown you how to use it for a syllabus. Most of us are familiar with how to use it for like a basic poll or data collection. And of course you can use it for quizzes and assessments as well. But I want to show you one of the options for attendance that I think has some really important potential strengths for us. And that is touching base with our students through social and emotional learning. So you can take the link, like I've shown you before, where you go to preview and grab the link, or you can say send and you can send out the link. You can just click on this link right here and you can copy and paste this link. You can put it in Google Classroom. You also have a shortened URL option right here, FYI, so you can click that. You don't get to personalize it the way you do with Bitly, but it is a shorter link. And you can copy and paste that into Google Classroom if you want to. You can copy and paste it into Zoom, and actually that's probably what I'm going to be doing. Because if I put it in Google Classroom, then any kid who accesses Classroom can click on that link and act like they're present. I don't necessarily want them to be able to do that, right? So I'm going to put it in Zoom in the chat so that students do it in real time when they're meeting with me, and it's a little bit more of a true way of measuring student participation. And I can then go back and check this attendance collection against the actual Zoom attendance collection. So no kid is really going to cheat the system, but it's just one option there. So the reason I'm saying I want them to sign in is because I can then collect information about their learning and where they're at in that process, and I can also collect information about their emotional well-being. So I've asked them their name. I've asked what piece of information from our previous lesson most surprised or interested you. I've asked them what question do you have from our previous lesson, or what can I make clearer today? And then I've included here 3 different SEL questions. On any given day, I'm only going to use one of these questions. So this form, I'm going to make a copy of this form, and I'm going to only give certain questions on any given day. So you can ask a lighter SEL question, like what's your favorite ice cream flavor? And you can keep it light and frothy. You could also pick an emoji that shows me how you're feeling today. And I made this one check boxes because I want them to be able to select as many as they want. They can select multiple, and I've embedded the emojis there. And just FYI, if you're building this on your computer and you're like, wait a minute, emojis, I know how to get that on my phone. How do I get that on my computer? There is an add-on for that. It's right up here. It is called Joy Pixels, and you can get Joy Pixels in the Chrome store. Actually, all of these apps can be acquired in your Google Chrome store, and they're free. And so Joy Pixels is the one that I use, and I just selected these emojis, and so I say I want this one, for example. It's automatically sent to it's copied and it's sent to like my clipboard basically, and then all I have to do is paste and it'll show up here, right? So if you want to go right here, it's been copied and I can, paste that one, but obviously get rid of that. So they can select as many as they want, and you can see again I use the checkbox feature. For that, multiple choice will limit them to only that one option. Checkbox does not limit their options. Now, if you had images that you wanted to include instead, you could totally include an image. So like, I don't know, different moods as depicted by dogs, different moods as depicted by hedgehogs, whatever. You can include those images instead. I just used emojis for this one. And then this is another SEL question. It goes a little deeper. Where would you say you're at emotionally this week? Are you doing well? Do you need some support? Any anxiety? Let me know where you're at so I can help if possible. So it's kind of open-ended, but it does nudge them in a couple different directions, right? If they need that support, if they do want to express anxiety, they hopefully feel comfortable telling me that. And you can also see I've left it as a long answer text so they can include more information. And then optional question here, you'll note that these are all required, right? The red starred ones are all required. So I do want them to tell me, right, how they're doing emotionally that week. But the optional one is, do you want me to call home and reach out privately to check in on you this week, right? So they don't have to answer this if they don't want to, but this allows the student to say, yeah, you know what, I really could use that support. Please call, because they're going to see my face every day, and it's going to be in a larger classroom setting, right? So if they want that one-on-one time, I want them to be able to express that to me. So this is how I'm using Google Forms, two of the ways I'm using Google Forms this year. I'll be using it for my syllabus, I'll be using it for attendance, and I'll be using it for some of my student assignments like reading quizzes. I hope this helped. Please let me know if you've got any more questions, and I am here to answer them. Thanks so much.